Go on to old business, school improvement plans. School improvement plan, SIP goals for each school will be reviewed by the building principals, and tonight we have the upper schools, and we're going to start with Rolla High School. Run the lottery. Dr. Pritchett.
Jim's trying to get to the play by 7, so high school play.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Had the pleasure to see you.
Nothing was off.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did have the pleasure to see a few of you today, so it's a couple of times in one day. It's good. So, it's always good for at the high school coming. It seems like every time I come, there's somebody from the high school tonight, custodians, the band. If that doesn't make you proud to be a Bulldog, I'm not sure. You check your pulse or something, but you hear a lot about teamwork, and standing behind me, Amy Herman and Josh Smith. I'll introduce them now, and we're going to jigsaw a little of our presentation tonight. So I know all of you are familiar with them, but the folks at home don't always get to see maybe a face with the name. They might give us a call at the school or something, but they'll join into the presentation here in just a second. We're going to, as quick as we can tonight, share with you a little bit about not only our SIP plan, our school improvement plan, but also just some of the things that are going on that come out of that. And so some of the information we'll give you will be based strictly on this school improvement plan, and then other things will be some things that we've got out of surveys we've done, out of talks with our students, talks with parents, and some of that. And then we're going to end tonight with some of the new facility things, just to kind of show you and talk a little bit about that. So we'll talk first about our building goals. We have 5 building goals. The first one is our attendance goal. And I put in front of you the handout that is also on the screen, so if you prefer to look at it there, you can. The goal itself is changing a little bit this year based on the new MSIP that we follow. The goal that we're working under now is the 90% of students in attendance 90% of the time. And so we're still feeling our way through that and kind of seeing how we're doing. I put on our slide that right now we kind of calculated it up. At this point, we're at 90.6%. So we're right at that target. We're beginning now. We've got a few days behind us now. We're starting to focus in on those kids that are falling below that and right at that, and trying to determine why they're where they are. So I put up there also on the slide that the last, as you probably remember from years past, the old goal was just at 95%, right. And you can see had been trending up, and so we were proud of that. One of the things that we could look at and kind of determine, and what we believe was a real factor is just the connections that we're beginning to make with students on a personal level, on a level that lets them know that we care about them more than just a number. And so I listed up there the use of advisory. As we did our surveys, and as we do surveys, one of the things that always comes back is just the connection to people. It's that old adage that they don't care what you know until they know you care. And so we really believe that that's part of it. And I listed just a few things up there where that's happening. Advisory, which we implemented last year and talked a little bit about, where it's kind of a get to know you, let the kids know that someone at school is watching for them every week, every day. Somebody there cares about them, and you can't fly under the radar any longer. And so that's part of it. Pride, which is the kind of our RTI part of our academics. Our PBS program, which you guys are well versed in that, and you hear about that along with our positive behavior. So all of those things we believe are moving us in the right direction with attendance. The last 2 things up there are some things we're working on currently. One, we got together this summer and at the beginning of the school year and really kind of tried to iron out our process with attendance. And I mentioned earlier that we're just now identifying those kids that are kind of beginning to hit that mark of 90%, or who are just beginning to hit that, they're gone a little bit more than we like. And so we've worked on a process that we use internally to try to communicate with those students, with those parents about attendance, about their academic progress, and we're beginning to really see kind of some gains in that area with parents, saying, "Hey, thanks for calling. I didn't know this," or we were kind of thinking that ourselves, but we really weren't sure. And so that has been kind of a positive thing that we've tried to do. The last thing was we've also worked on our appeals process. So, as you probably know, students can only miss so many days, and when they miss over the days, there is an appeals process because a lot of times there are legitimate excuses and reasons that they have to miss. In the past, we didn't really track that as closely. We kind of waited for the parents to contact us or the student, and we've been a little more proactive with that this year. We're seeking them out. We're making extra phone calls. We're making sending extra emails, those kind of things to let parents know, hey, we need you to get with us. We need to get together on this and work through the appeals process. So that has been a definite plus. Again, back to the attendance and just back to getting students there. As you know, and this is what we tell our students, because the students are always wondering, well, why is attendance? Why do you care if we're here every day? If I'm here 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5? And really, we chuckle, but I think they think that because they think, well, I'm here most of the time, and so we talk with them about, job. You got to be there for a job. But we also talk to them about, we care that you're here because we can't help you. We can't teach you if you're not. Yes, you can get things, from teachers and you can get caught up, but it's just not the same. So we work through that process with them, and quite honestly with some parents too, who think, well, little Johnny was there, 3 out of 5. But we try to work that with them too. So those are some things that we've really tried to focus on in terms of attendance for our goal number 1. I'll let Amy talk a little bit about our second and third goal.
Okay. Our second goal is to further integrate technology in the classrooms, and we're just making big strides this year. This year, our entire building is wireless. We also have 2 iPad carts with a classroom set of iPads. We have 4 computer labs available, and we'll be getting another laptop cart at semester available for student use. So the technology is becoming more and more accessible and available. We also have encouraged all of our teachers that we evaluate have technology integration in their curriculum as part of their professional development plans. They also have it as part of their team plan, so they can collaborate and discuss how they're using technology as an individual with their team and share ideas and things like that. So they're really making good efforts in sharing ideas that way. We also implemented Bring Your Own Device this year. They can bring their own device. They can get logged on to the wireless system. And really, teachers are just taking off with that. Lots of opportunities that they have with Bring Your Own Device. They have the opportunity to check their grades right there on their phone. During Pride Time or advisory, their teacher can say, okay, let's all get them out and keep track of what's going on. Lots of times kids just assume things about their grade. Well, that way they're keeping track and they're taking ownership of how they're progressing along. So the Bring Your Own Devices help with that. It's been phenomenal with formative assessments. I know you guys remember back in the day when we used the clickers. Now you just use your smartphone. You can use Poplet, you can use Quizlet. They can do a formative assessment right there and display it on the smart board and see if the class is getting what they're discussing right at that time. And really, the technology makes students so much more engaged and involved in the classroom because it's the hip thing and really, they share technology too. If someone doesn't have their phone with them or anything like that, they can just punch in the number and they can vote their neighbor's vote or whatever if they're doing that as well. The other thing that technology has helped with My Big Campus, the ability to just do simple surveys and votes and things like that. Our homecoming candidates election, that happened through technology this year. Elections, right now seniors are picking their class song through using My Big Campus and voting in that way. So it's really assisted in that, and it's made kids more involved and active because they can just simply do it on their phone. School Messenger is another way that technology has helped with classroom because it keeps parents informed. Hey, finals week is coming up, or different things that we can inform parents about through School Messenger. So it's been an extremely useful tool as well. So I think we'll go on to the next one, Jim. College and career readiness. We want to ensure that our students are college and career ready. We've taken big steps with advisory. Last year was our first year introducing advisory. We hadn't really had the opportunity to tweak it for seniors. Last year, seniors are the largest group. They don't get that small 15 classroom setting because we needed to keep those numbers small for sophomores and juniors. Seniors are in larger groups. This year, these groups have been divided into if you're going to a four-year college, if you're entering the military, if you're going into technical school, if you're planning to use to enter the workforce. So they've been divided into those sections, and with that, they have speakers coming in regularly to present to them about what their career goals are. Our four-year college-bound students we have speakers coming in talking to them about the scholarship application process and when it's time and what you should be doing at certain times. We also have, the counselors have done a phenomenal job of arranging trips as well. Our four-year college students that might not have the opportunity to go and do college visits, they're nominated by teachers. We have an open doors trip where they're allowed to go to Mizzou and visit a college campus. Our two-year students are making a trip to Union to go to ECC. Our technical school kids in the senior group are going to Lynn Tech to make a visit as well. So trying to get them to open up their minds and their ideas about what their plans are and what they're going to do next and be working forward towards that. So that's been very successful. Also, ASVAB testing now is for all sophomores. Get them thinking right away when they get to the high school about their career path. What do they want to do next? And start planning their schedules accordingly. So that's another thing that's going on at the high school.
Amy, ASVAB stands for?
Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery.
There you go.
And this,
The military does it for us.
this is going to solve our MSIP 5
Yes,
problem with not all kids taking a test.
It's one of the approved tests. We had talked with Matt and the folks over at RTI and RTC on the Compass and whether
Okay.
we have any students that would benefit from that battery. It's a little more difficult to give, and it's a little different purpose than the ASVAB. We had talked with them. We think this will give us a good opportunity where we give it to give kids some information that
Yeah,
they could use
yeah.
moving forward. So.
And if I might interject, that's exactly the reason. There's that connotation that it's military. It's just for people going to the military, but it's really not. It gives you a kind of a career path or a look at different career paths. And one of the benefits we're doing with sophomores, we feel like, is that way we can kind of help direct them to the areas they need to go to. So.
Very good. Good.
I didn't mention also the military has been really good about coming to speak with kids that are military bound as well. We've had, it seems like almost every Friday there's a different military group that's there to talk to the kids that are the seniors that are interested in going that direction. So also the enrollment fair is something else that's really helped preparing kids to look to their future. The RTC has been great in working with us with that. We did it last year and the year before. This will be our third year. And I think last year was probably our most successful ever. With the new edition, we were able to spread out. We gave door prizes away with using School Messenger. The word got out there, and we had a just amazing turnout for the enrollment fair. We've had great turnout for parent-teacher conferences as well, and I think School Messenger has a lot to do with that. Online registration is another thing that allows parents to sit with their kid at the computer and look at the course offerings that are available and actually go through that process together. We're using advisory again for that as well. So that's really helping. My Big Campus is another thing that's really helping make kids college and career ready because it's very similar to Blackboard. Some of you may be familiar with Blackboard. A lot of university campuses use Blackboard. I know that my daughter's in school and they're using Blackboard right now, but she's already familiar with it because she's used My Big Campus, and it's the same kind of system where you're uploading, you're having discussion blogs, you're turning in assignments like that, and so My Big Campus has been useful with that as well. It's really been effective.
All right, our fourth goal is to continue to improve scores and performance in all areas. Some of the strategies we have to do that is to continue to align our curriculum to the Missouri Learning Standards through the use of our PD days. Just this last Monday, it was interesting. We had 6 through 12 together in our building, and there were some really neat conversations as the 6th grade, 7th grade teachers were telling our teachers what they were instructing and all the different things they were doing, what they'd done in the past with the GLEs, and now what they're doing with the learning standards. And that's the first time some of them have really heard what has gone on before, so a student can't tell them now, we've never learned this before. They actually can know, no, you learned that in 7th grade, so let's move on. So, but it was really some good conversations, and a lot of things have come from those PD days and the crosswalks that we've had with the learning standards. Next thing that we've talked about Pride and Advisory quite a bit, but our goal is to try to get it to all students. Currently, we do not have it with the RTI and RTC students. There's quite a few students that we deal with that have D's and F's that we're not getting the interventions that we would prefer to get. So that's a conversation we've started to have with Mr. Duncan and tried to get the logistics worked out if we can do that. And if we can, that's definitely something we're looking to do.
Because you're doing it during the hours when they're going.
Yeah. So that's, again, something we've just started to delve into, but we look to get further into through the year goes. Continue to tutor after school, which math lab and writing lab and all those sorts of things that go on. It's very vital. It's stuff that's gone on for a long time, but it's very vital to continue our kids increasing their scores. The next thing, screencasts and sub-page for My Big Campus, is kind of a new thing that's really interesting. When we have substitute teachers in, a lot of times you'll walk by classrooms now and you'll still hear the teacher's voice that's not supposed to be there, which is quite interesting, but it's very good as far as they're not losing the education that they might lose. Not that our substitutes do a bad job, but it's obviously different than having the regular teacher in there. So they can have screencasts of the actual lesson that teacher is actually teaching it on the smart board, and so then the sub just kind of helps with it and helps students as they need. And that's been a great thing for us, and the teachers love it. When they come back, they know they can just keep going and not have to reteach what they missed. Lastly, we've talked about BYOD, the Bring Your Own Device. We're still early in it, so we haven't seen the data yet to see if we've seen a lot of increase. So that's obviously something we look forward to increasing our scores also. Tying in with the increase in scores is that we want to continue to provide sufficient professional development for our teachers. Technology-wise, we still have our iTeach groups. This year we've moved into the focus groups, which you guys have all heard about from Brenda and Ginger, I'm sure. We want to continue to promote our teachers to be involved in professional organizations and workshops. There's a lot of good things that our art teachers are doing, and just things that we don't always hear about, that they're involved in their own professional organizations and just putting a good word out there for all the schools. Lastly, we've tried to utilize our in-house expertise more. Again, on our PD days, our building leadership team we always ask for input from them. What can we get better at? What do you guys need? And then from that, do we have teachers that can provide that in-house so we can make more efficient use of our money? And so we've had quite a few. Our first 2 PD days, it was all just rotations of trainings that our teachers provided for our other teachers. And we've had a lot of good feedback from that. Again, something we look to continue to do.
Did Amy skip over learning centers and online courses, or did I miss it?
I may have skipped over it.
I was pushing her in the back, saying her.
We got off on the armed services discussion.
Yeah, one of the things to that point, and I can back it up here. The Learning Center, we continue to just improve on that. The Learning Center gives the students opportunities to get extra credits that they can't maybe get into their schedule. Same with kind of the online courses. We're seeing a number of students who are using the MOVIP courses that the state offers, where they can get extra credits online. We're kind of beginning to brainstorm some ideas of how we can present online courses for not only for our students outside of the regular class day, but also possibly online courses for other school districts to utilize our people. And so we put that on there as just as a college and career type. It's just things that more and more kids are, when they get to college, they're doing more and more of that. And so just to make them career ready, or to make them college ready especially, we just we're beginning to explore that option. We have we're working with one of our teachers right now to possibly do an online course for next year. We haven't worked out all the kinks and the details yet, but that's something that that Mr. Hounsome and myself and the teacher have been kind of working through. So.
I think Blue Springs is doing a lot of that in Kansas City out to other districts. You might contact them. I'm pretty sure it's Blue Springs
and there's a couple others that we've got on our radar.
They actually use it as a revenue.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about offering certain courses to our consortium.
Right.
Career Center. There's certain things that we offer that they don't. So.
Right. I think there's some great opportunities there.
We believe that.
Yeah, good.
Kind of going back to Josh's last point with our own teachers, we have some quality folks, and they go to things and they see different things, and then they put in their classroom, We've just really, as he mentioned, 2 of the 3 days that we've had the professional development, we've used portions of that day to let them share with the other teachers, because you know how it goes. Teacher A will be in their room doing it, and teacher B will kind of oversee it. So in the between classes, they'll kind of talk about it. So teacher B will start to do it, and then teacher C down the thing goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And so that gave us a kind of a formal opportunity to say, "Hey, you don't have to do it just 5 minutes between class. You can have some time and get to learn." So it's been a real benefit to our to those professional development days. The last 3 things I want to touch base with you on. The first one kind of deals with the surveys that we do. As we do those surveys and we try to gather the information, one of the biggest things that kept coming up on ours is what we kind of termed as student connections and school climate. We would hear time and time again, both, even the good comments that we would hear were, we appreciate the connections that we're making with students, and that as leaders in the building, that you're out there making connections, you're seeing us in our classroom, and then also just kind of setting the school climate. I listed just a few of the things that and I say a few, there's quite a few there, but under the relationships, it's just truly become kind of the part of the culture that reaching out to students, making that connection with them really just enhances their education. Some of the things with relationships and communication, we've talked advisory. Principals Advisory Committee is something where students meet with us. ICRA's comes in, we meet once a month during lunch. A small group, they represent the student body. They come in, we have lunch, we talk about different issues and things that come up, and we're able to brainstorm with them. Sometimes it's just hey, we need this, and okay, well, we didn't know that because we don't go there, we don't do that, so we fix it. Or maybe it's an idea that they have that they'd like to try, and so we're able to talk that through. Link Crew, we've been doing that several years, but in the last couple of years, I've heard from a lot of parents who appreciate the information that we give them. The students come in, this year it was the day before teachers came back to school, and the students meet with other students, and they kind of befriend them and show them around, so it's not as daunting. We meet for an hour with parents that morning and kind of go over some of the things so that it's not quite so daunting with parents too. And we've heard a lot of feedback from those parents that say, you really made it feel a lot better, because I was so nervous about my child coming to the high school, and we were able to kind of dispel some of those, and also just inform them of a lot of things. Bark and Chow is something that we do one of the evenings where we call it Bark and Chow because we write positive notes, send emails. That's the bark part, and then of course we eat, so that's the chow part. But it's really an opportunity for our teachers to really send out notes to parents saying, we appreciate your child. Thanks for sending them. They're doing a good job, or just a lot of positive notes in that.
I've got to say the school messenger stuff is great, and I think, but don't ever give that up, because I think those postcards you get in the mail mean so much more than just a 40-character
And the kids
chat.
appreciate them. We had some kids come back and say they got taken out to dinner because they got that card, and they so it's fun.
Well, it's for all
So
children.
as we move to more and more technology, let's keep the personal touch
I'll never
in place.
forget when my daughter was in Katie Haslick's class and coming home finding a positive postcard about her. I'd never gotten anything like that from a teacher.
Yeah,
Or
and that's
special needs.
Yeah, and that's been we hear a lot of that too. And I grew up my mom was in post office for 40-some years, so she won't let me stop writing letters. So, she'd slap my hand if I did. So we'll do it as long as I can be around. So the enrollment fair you heard a little bit about, the department screencast, the counseling website. We've put last year a lot of the things with the enrollment things on our website, so parents could go to it after the enrollment fair. This year, our departments are going to do screencasts of their course offerings. And so you go to the enrollment fair, you talk a little bit about different, the math and what you're going to take, and you go home and you're like, man, I know I talked about that, but I can't remember it. Well, now they'll be able to get back on the web and listen to some screencasts on the different course offerings. And we're hoping that will, again, be another opportunity for parents to just, because you hear a lot of things at that night, and I go home and my head's spinning as much when I get home as it was before I got there. Registration this year, we had teachers available during that time so that when parents and students came and got their schedules, they could go class to class and meet the teachers. That was new. We'd not been able to do that in the past. We're hoping that we can continue that. We've mentioned school messenger. The I'm First, I just want to touch on that and the FAFSA nights. One of the things that the counseling department has tried to do is students that they identify that are going to be first generation college students, they're bringing them and their parents in, and they spend, I think it's 4 different nights with those folks, telling them and showing them what college is like and what they should expect and what, you know, how it's going to work and those kind of things. Because when you're a first-generation college student, you know, maybe you might see some stuff on TV or you might talk to a friend, but you don't, you know, some of that stuff is kind of unnerving, and especially even for parents. So we've brought them in, and the counseling department has done that. Same with the FAFSA night. Those of you that have filled that out, sometimes that can be a little tricky and a little bit difficult. So we offer a chance for parents to come in on several different nights, and our counselors and folks go through that with them and try to help them. The last part is community connections. One of the things that I feel like I'm the most proud about is that we really try to reach out to the community. We have a great community here that comes in too. And so we're able to do some things with service projects. We have a hospital program with our special needs kids that has been just, it had been here years ago and it had kind of gotten away, and so we revamped that this year. And it's really been a super deal for our kids to go and do that, plus just the connection with the hospital. You know, unfortunately, we use them a time or two when we have an injury or something. You know, some of our kids get sick or whatnot, and so it's just good to have that connection with the hospital as well. Channel 6 and 16, Amy mentioned earlier the military. We get universities and the tech schools coming in all the time too. So we really, we try to do our best to get out to the community and not only just ask them for stuff all the time, but just to help them or just to offer. You know, at our last PD day, we have 6 community organizations that we had come in and present on their service projects, because we're going to challenge our advisories to adopt a service project. And so we had 6 different, you know, Grace and Salvation Army and the backpack program and several others come in and talk about it and give our teachers some information about that. So that's part of what we feel like has really come out of the things that we ask folks and try to get feedback from, and then we try to work it into what we're doing. The last 2 things real quick. Just want to touch base on the cafeteria. I'd be remiss if I didn't. The cafeteria has been just such a blessing. It's just been able to open us up a little bit, spread our kids out a little bit. They're not elbow to elbow as much, although they still try to get in their elbow to elbow with their friends. But it's just really been a super enhancement for the high school. We've had groups that have come in and used parts of it, and really, I just want to say thanks to you guys for having the vision to get that done. And the last thing, obviously, the turf. It's not the turf project anymore. Anybody you talk to in town, it's just the turf. And it's just been such a community thing. And I put several pictures up here because I think sometimes people forget it's not just a football field. Right. You know, if you drove by any time in the fall, early in the fall, during the day, you saw PE classes out there every hour. That rarely happened with the grass because it was always wet and damp, sometimes muddy. And so that alone has made a world of difference in the PE department. You know, you heard from the band earlier, you know, the cheerleaders, football, soccer, youth football has played on it. I mean, it's just been a real asset to the community. So, again, I would just commend you guys for having the vision to get that done, and, of course, the committee that Mitch spearheaded to help do that. But thanks for letting us come. We certainly entertain questions. We know we've taken quite a bit of your time, but good things going on at Raleigh High School.
Very good.
Are you leaving? Okay, because I wanted to get a picture of all you guys together, so Kelly will get it, but if you're not leaving, then I'll get it later.
He's going to go to the play.
Amy was going to go to the play.
All right, well, Kelly, will you get them together just real quick?
I'll just mention that the high school play is going on tonight. Just put a little plug in here. Tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday night, they're doing a Harry Potter rendition. So if you're looking for a good date night tomorrow night or Saturday night, certainly.
7 o'clock.
Ickra probably had that on her list.
Still
Review again.
But again,
Stole
thanks
her
for having
thunder.
us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work on. I'm gonna help him on Saturday.
Hey, don't be too posed. Just get up there quickly. We're gonna do everybody at once, so we'll have a filler.
Trying to stand and stretch while they're doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got to say, I take a lot of pride in that whole corner, you know, and when you drive down 10th Street, it's just so impressive to see. The football field, the soccer field, the baseball, the Rotary Park, you know, it's just such an improvement to the corner.
That he could take both of those the same year.
Next, we will have Rolla Technical Institute and Center coming up after they get their picture taken. They're done. They're coming. Text it to me, please. Thank you, guys.
Maybe the lights on or off for these guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a PowerPoint.
Oh, you're in, yeah.
Welcome, Matt.
Hello.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to present. I'd like to introduce Mr. Chapman for the RTI and Mrs. Hass for the day-to-day operations at RTC. And we'd also like to thank Dr. Pritchett, Mrs. Herman, and Mr. Smith. We've in contact with them almost daily, and a lot of the things they're doing, we try to work with them, and also with Mrs. Fulton and Mr. Storms. The enrollment we've got from the junior high through our Gateway to Technology and Project Lead the Way, we've about doubled our numbers there, so we're really appreciative of the work they've done with us. So tonight, as we go through our school improvement plan, basically what we'll do is when we go through that, our school improvement plan is generated in similar manners as the other buildings. We look at a lot of things. One of the things that we look at a lot is that we have the federal standards that we look at from our Perkins. We have the state. We have MSIP standards through DESE, but we have a lot of local benchmarks specific with CTE. A lot of challenges with career and tech ed right now. We're very optimistic. A lot of the things you see, it's encouraging when you see the commercials on prime time with Mike Rowe and a lot of those things. We see that stuff coming back, so we're excited about a lot of that. Our process begins in the spring. Every spring we go through we start with the surveys that we give out through our on the three of us, our leadership surveys. So we take those surveys, we give those out, we share that data back in the spring with our building leadership team, and then that information is then ran back to our teachers through our PLC teams. And that seems to work really well, and that's kind of how we start off, and then we bring that in the fall, and we'll start, as soon as we start back with school, we disseminate all that information through our PLC teams. Our leadership team, we meet monthly. We meet at 7:30 each month, and that's been a very good fit. We run a lot of the things that we run through our buildings through them, and it's been a very positive thing as far as helping us with our school improvement plan. Some of the things, an example with the surveys this year, we got back when we shared that with our team is one area is I think we saw that there was a need, our staff, on the PBTE strategies. And as we've talked with them, we've identified that. We're working through our evaluation process this year as far as working with the staff on their professional development plan in the spring. We've tied that in to where we get that out of the way in the spring and tie that back in with their evaluation. So I think understanding that, again, we're also participating, as Mr. Henshaw mentioned, in the teacher evaluations and trying to be more involved with the evaluations, making our teachers more aware of that. The positive thing is we saw a very high score with our demonstrating a commitment to students' academic success. We were pleased with that, to hear that from the staff, because we try to bring them in on the decisions so that they know what we're trying to do is good for all the students when we make those decisions. So as we go through our PowerPoint, this was actually last year's, and I won't spend a lot of time on it. The only reason I put it up here is on our progress measures. We put down how we stacked up there. Most of the things we did okay. If we didn't do so well, it's probably back in this year's. And so we are working on those, and we'll come back to those. Most of all these on the progress measures. We felt good about placements. One we're always going to struggle with, and in this time, and we're continuing to make strategies because the stakes have gotten higher in that realm with our new accreditation that we're going through. So for this year, what we did is our mission it remains to provide quality career education and leadership opportunities through skilled training, community partnerships, and a continually changing society. Our goals, we tweaked them a little bit. We got some input on those. Goal 1, we're improving recruitment practices, retention of students, placement rates to enrich career and technical ed programming. Goal 2, Mr. Chapman will go through Goal 2, and Mrs. Hass will cover Goal 3. So as we start off, what I'd like to do is cover goal 1, and if you have questions, be glad to answer those. And then we'll take each one as we go. But on goal number 1, the goal there is to improve recruiting, because that's a big deal. Nobody has to come to our building, whether they're adult or high school, so we really have to work on that. Retention of students is something that we're working on. Mr. Chapman will talk a little bit about some of our parent-teacher conference strategies, calling parents. A lot of times we have students that parents live 80 miles from here in an outlying district, so we try to go to them, doing call nights. This is the 3rd year we offered a family night, kind of in lieu of a open house. It's been very successful. We tried to work in the dual credit. That's a big thing now as far as students getting scores on the new MSIP 5. So East Central was very cooperative. I think we can build on that a lot. We're not where we need to be. We need to get that enrollment up and get that out to parents more, but it was very positive. They set up for it. And we do the newsletter, and we'll talk about the advisories a lot. And the placement rates. Placement rates are big, and they're even going to be even bigger as you hear more as this year progresses with our new national accreditation with the Council on Occupational Education, which is a big endeavor, which we'll talk about here. So our strategies, we want to continue to enhance and strengthen our advisory committees. Those are very important. We've had great meetings this fall. It's been really exciting to have those. We're going to monitor and improve the adult enrollment process, continue to evaluate strategies to advance placement services, research and evaluate rigorous CTE accreditation, and develop and implement high-quality CTE professional development. So basically what all that means, the way we think we can tell if we're going to meet those strategies is, the first thing is if we can meet the new accreditation requirements for advisory committees and placement rates. That's changing a little bit. We had a kind of a local goal in the past, but the COE is going to tell us who those people are. They're very specific on advisory committees, and they're very specific on placement rates. So it's going to be challenging, but it's a very clear goal as to what they want. So we'll adjust to those. The second one is we've got to get our FTEs up. We did pretty good this year. We had a couple programs that we didn't meet it in, but we did better. We hope to build on that for next year. We want to obtain this is our new accreditation. In the past, you probably heard us talk about North Central Accreditation, NCA, which for several reasons we're now seeking COE. We're still NCA accredited, but we need the COE for our adult financial aid requirements. So we're going to seek that candidacy status, and we are also maximizing and evaluating new CTE professional development. We've had some. That's been one that we've really enjoyed this year. We started off. We did a joint effort with our another post-secondary consortium, which was our Lebanon partners. Our teachers went there for half the day. The adult staff stayed here. Mrs. Hass put together PD for just adult, in which Brenda Spurgeon was excellent to help out with that. We had technology here, and then we had CTE there. We had guest speakers come in. The University of Central Missouri was, we had their career and tech ed folks come down and present. And then we broke out in individual small groups in the afternoon, which was very good. We've done internal marketing, the last PD, in which we expanded on what we do. We had all of our staff go through each program so that they need to know what we're doing before we can reach out. So anyway, that's kind of what we've looked at for goal number 1. Does anybody have any questions or comments with goal 1?
It's very good.
Okay, thank you. I'll turn it over to Mr. Chet.
Goal number 2 is the one I get today, and I really like it because the last 2 words, career ready. That's what we're all about, college and career readiness, and we're trying to get people ready for a career. A lot of our programs also now in our new vocational school, or we're all taking us to, we do have those getting ready for college with our changing of our words from pre-engineering to engineering and some things like that. But big thing is getting students career ready in our buildings. And so exciting to talk about that and share some of the things we're doing. strategies for that, one of the big things is career and technical student organization. These happen to be FFA, DECA, HOSA, Skills USA. Those are a wide range of what we have between the two buildings, and a few others when you get into wood manufacturing. We do wood links and some other things too, the team. But anyways, with those, there's a huge thing, get students career ready. We don't always think about it, but every time we survey or every time we have an advisory committee meeting, employers still say they need those soft skills and employable skills. And that's one of the biggest places we teach that. Just as in one night this week, I got the opportunity to help judge in a speaking contest, having to be FFA, but I do go with DECA and other things too, and get to see students give those skills that they need to obtain a job. It gives that little extra piece to the education we give, and it's very successful. Students do a great job, and I love doing that because you don't know what you're going to hear, and students they just amaze you every time they're in front of you, and I'm sure you all know that. So that's one of the greatest opportunities we have. So we really want some of our staff is fully indulged in that, and some are not. So we want to continue to make that important to what they do in the classroom when that is incorporated with their class itself. We also want to enhance embedded credit, and I'm sure you guys have heard that a lot. We talk about career ready. The biggest one I see is communication arts is the one we talk to when we talk to people hiring our students. We've got to make sure they have that communication arts, that ability to be able to talk to people, be able to read those technical manuals, and things that our students really need to do. So we've done that. We keep enhancing that. This year we're proud to say we've dove into the grade book aspect of that, and to make sure that as parents and other faculty we have can actually look at that grade book and see those assessments of the lessons that we've created over the last couple of years through the overall public school support, and bringing some of those teachers over to us that first hour of the day. So we can actually look at those assessments and see where we are there, and indicating if we need to add more, add less, what actually for those credits. So it's a great process this year, and really good people in there. Investigate and improve career tech ready indicators through APR. And down there at the bottom also talks about MSIP 5 and Perkins data. Perkins being our federal dollars data, MSIP 5 I'm sure you're familiar with, and also APR. But all those things have several things, and in this time of change, terms have changed. We came a couple years ago and we said technical skills attainment, TSAs, that's where we're at. We got to do this. We're going to have to spend some money and send students to be basically their end of course exam. Well, that's now becoming what I think where it needs to be is going to be a term called IRC, Industry Recognized Credentials. Okay, and we do this in several of our programs like practical nursing and those things. They get that certificate that they're a licensed practical nurse at that time. And we do that with several programs. But if we put that into all of our programs and use that as our end goal, that a student is going to leave with that, such as auto collision, moving to the ICAR curriculum, and it is a industry recognized credential that they can take with them and out. We set up students in our auto mechanics program for NATEF, which is what we would know as ASE certified mechanics. We set them up for those tests. So that's actually going out of our information technology. Proud to say we have a huge record with our students taking A+ certifications. That's what they're actually going out with. So as we offer those to our students, some of those are expensive, and we've got to find a way to make sure. But we really believe it's important that our students go out to the workforce with a credential. And I actually think it's going to enhance what we do in several different ways. Then there at the bottom, we talk about career ready, and in that goal it talks about ensuring that we have really high quality career and tech ed. You guys have had the opportunity to come, and I really appreciate it, and we all do. I think we're going to develop our newest program coming out with culinary arts, and we just had our first advisory committee with them. We've met with architects, and Mr. Henshaw's been essential in that, and it's going to be really exciting in the next couple of years. It's not just that it's culinary arts, it's that the whole building is moving in a forward direction, trying to find those career opportunities for our students that they're excited about, and people in our community are excited about also. So as that comes forward, there's other things out there in other spaces, and we'll always be pushing to get to the next level there. But the biggest thing I can tell you that's helping our goals already this year, and that I would like to throw out there, is our professional development we've had this year. the school calendar as it's changed and allowed each school and the district the time for having that extra professional development. It just really enhanced what we do at RTI and RTC, and I've heard that from teachers all over the district. So I really appreciate that extra time that we can really dive down and do those extra things with our faculty. Our surveys of all 3 days so far have been extremely excellent, far beat what I thought, and I think that time and money is well spent. Any questions on Goal 2, getting our students career ready?
So do all the programs have these industry-recognized credentials?
That's where we're headed, and that's what we're looking for in all these. TSAs, when we went to Perkins, the federal data, they still accept TSAs. All of the IRCs, industry recognized credentials, happen to be technical skill attainments.
There you go.
Okay?
TSA, technical skill.
So when you throw that in there, it's kind of crazy terminology.
But the industry, the employers recognize the certificates
Correct.
more than the
Correct. And
TSAs.
so we are trying to go from where we've just given our technical skill attainment test to make sure every student will comply so we can have that federal knowledge, to making sure that we use the more rigorous industry recognized credential. That list is a lot shorter, so no, we don't have it for everybody, but we are moving towards that. Each
So it
of
would
our
seem to me
students
that
will
would be
have.
better for the employment side of what you guys are trying to do.
Correct. It'd be better for our placement, better for our employment. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for us.
Good.
It's not the easiest path, but it's probably the best.
Keith, that's also part of the MSIP 5 changes
Right.
too, is what's accepted on the TSA section is mainly the industry recognized credential test.
Those are the tests that, some of them are pretty expensive.
Some of them are, yes, but as we develop and go through that some of those also have to be through a third party
Right.
and those things, so we need to set our students up to be able to pass.
So do you all feel, with the embedded credits, do you feel like that those skills are really being attained, that these embedded credits are valid, and I mean they're really legitimate in what the kids are learning, and they are actually earning those credits?
I believe you're going to see that in our staff, for sure in us three, and also the 3 other teachers that we hire for that hour to make sure those things are going. I think with the showing the assessment part of that in the grade book, where you and little parents can actually see that assessment's going on, maybe call that instructor, talk about that assessment. Yeah, that's where the accountability is coming in, and we're trying to step that up every year that we've been here. We're trying to step up that accountability on it to make sure everybody else will see. I believe in it, but I know that people need to be able to see that documentation and those things. So we're trying to develop that every year to a more stringent level.
That's a real important piece to start with our consortium meeting, which
Right.
is our superintendents and principals from all the consortium. They ask for that, and so we try to show that to them each year. We had our meeting last week. One of our embedded credit facilitators came in, presented, showed what we did last year compared to this year and how we're pulling that core into that.
Okay.
And now we're putting it in play with the assessments. So.
Good, good. Thank you.
They're actually, Greg, they're actually developing a booklet that includes the lessons and the assessments, so the sending schools can, administrators and board members can see those things to know that there's validity behind it. You're not just getting a
Right.
English grade
Right.
for the sake of an English grade.
Okay, good.
Okay, my objective would be the goal for goal number 3. That goal, like all the other schools in the district, is specific to technology. And if you look at the strategies, the first strategy is dealing with the mobile computer labs. This year we were, through our enhancement grants, we were able to add a computer cart with 10 laptops in respiratory care, which is one of our adult programs at RTC. And then we added a classroom of laptops in Project Lead the Way, which is housed over at RTI. Additionally, in terms of future, we have been discussing with our Health Science Academy the idea of maybe doing an iPad cart at RTC for those students to use with that curriculum. So that's what we're looking at in terms of those computer labs accessible in those classrooms. The second strategy is using My Big Campus, which you just heard from the high school. We use My Big Campus in our building as well. Our adult students, Mrs. Spurgeon has come over and she has given them access just like all the other students in the district. She comes individually with in those programs and sets all those students up so they can use it as well. I did a survey last week trying to see how often our staff was using My Big Campus. Ideally, my goal would be that everybody would be using it, but currently, according to that survey, 50% of the staff is using it every single day. So I was encouraged by that it's a daily use in their classroom. And then 25% said they were using it monthly. So yes, we need to have some progress there, but I was impressed that half of them were using it every single day. In fact, myself and Mr. Duncan, I encouraged him, I've actually given the staff our schoolwork, as it's called, on My Big Campus. Myself, so that they had to actually do something. I mean, it was simply my first challenge to them was I had asked them a question about to do an essay question based on a training they had completed, and so they had to, sit down there just like a student would and respond to it. And Mr. Duncan did that last week as well. So it was kind of, again, getting some information from them, having them do some feedback, and then again they had to get in there and use it themselves. So just kind of making it kind of fun, telling them they had homework, and it was kind of fun on that respect too. The third one, using the iPad pilot project. I know previously in board meeting, we had asked the surgical technology instructors to come and do a presentation with you based on the iPad project with the adults. So our goal with that is to see throughout this school year our results, looking at that data. We meet, the instructors and I meet monthly, discuss what has happened in the month. They actually set up a My Big Campus page where we can communicate with each other. They're sharing information of something that they just had, an idea or a challenge. So we're communicating that way as well. So far, as we stated previously, it is going very well. We're very happy with that. And I look to see more of that in the future with our adult programs. And the iFocus team, of course, that's with the iTeach district program with technology. And this year we had requested that we get involved in that as a career center. And we have an adult instructor and a high school instructor from our building that's on that committee. And that's been very helpful for us to bring information from a district committee in terms of technology into our buildings. And with that, the technology training, and I know Mr. Duncan has mentioned that too, and as an extension, I guess, with professional development, they both have visited about too. We have had leaps and bounds with technology training in our building, and the professional development as well. And our relationship with technology is very solid, and Brenda has been so helpful to our building, and I can't really thank her enough for what she's done. She has come into our classrooms individually, students, our staff, and it's really helped our staff. In career and tech ed, technology, something's been there. I mean, that's part of what we do. And, you go into Robert Studdard's wood manufacturing shop and you see, very fancy equipment, computerized, Excel, and as well as all of our other programs. What the challenge for us, or as I see it, and for our instructors, it's been, how do I use a smart board? And how do I use the iPad? How do I utilize this My Big Campus, Infinite Campus? So that has been wonderful for us. We have learned so much from technology because they've come in and helped us, and it's been specific to our building, not just a general topic specific to what we do. So that's been huge for us. So technology, again, something we have dealt with as career centers forever, but we're learning different things and how we can utilize that as well. That's how we're using technology, and if you have any questions, I'll address that. Or other than that, that's our SIP plan for the year. If you have any questions, we'll certainly address those.
Okay, thank you.
Well done.
Good thing.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Last school on the list tonight is Rolla Junior High, so you can come on up. need to take a break before we continue?
Yeah. No, I just assumed, go, whatever, you have to go.
Are we taking a break before we continue?
I don't
No,
think so.
we just got a couple in the restroom, it's okay. We'll forge ahead.
We'll forge ahead.
Right.
We can do that. Well, Keith just asked me how we got the bottom straw. I don't know. I just look at it as
Best
we're
for
saving
last.
the best for last.
Yeah, there you
So,
go.
Right.
Absolutely. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Rolla Junior High has had a fabulous year last year and the beginning to this year, and I am just so pleased with everything that we have going on and moving forward, and anxious to share that with you today. See if I can. At Rolla Junior High, and our first goal talks about increasing student achievement. And in that, we talk about increasing student achievement in all tested areas, as well as those areas that are not tested. But we also talk about each group identifying a departmental goal, and they talk about different things that they need to do. We have taken time throughout my learning and throughout my 5 years. And so whenever I look back at my own survey results every year, some of the things that I have to reflect on is how do I communicate with my teams? And one of the things that I learned is that everything I learn from Mr. Hounsome when it comes to curriculum instruction, and as far as with MSIP 5 and from Dr. Zalis and Mr. Henshaw, is I need to teach my staff. So I take my leadership team, and we have math lessons, and that's really good coming from me, the history teacher. But we do that. And in our math lessons, we learn, oops, wrong way. We learn about our MSIP 5 expectations, how we were going to be graded this year as far as scored, as well as what our MAP index score means, how to figure it. So I actually create sheets and I make them figure it. And we talk about the numbers of the meanings and where we have been and where we're going and where we want to go. And so our MAP index scores over the last 3 years have shown improvement. And we talk about how they achieved where we are, they assess where we are. And we talk about our prior 2-year averages, our current 2-year averages, and then the progress that we're making, as well as how our 3-year average and our progress towards our 2020 goal as a state is looking at us. And if you look at some things just to highlight, history, for example, made a 70-point gain in their MAP index score from 2012 to 13. They did a really great job. Science has gone up from 397.7 to 406.4. Math has very much stayed steady, but our math scores are excellent, and so they're where they need to be. But we are always striving for more improvement, as well as English language arts went up about 3 or 4 different points. So moving on to next year, and where do we want to go? Each department has set forth their own goals, and I made them use the numbers, and they had to manipulate and determine how they're going to move their scores either down and below basic or basic areas, and how they're going to increase it in proficient advanced by percentages to our goals now coming into, instead of increasing a percentage point proficient advanced, to the number of points that we are wishing to increase to show progress. And so for all of our teachers, I'm very proud of them because they've been through the process, and I spend many hours with Mr. Hounsome to understand this to get there. And I have taught them, and this is what they walked away with. When we talk about these things, though, this is just a small portion. They continue to talk about the strategies they're going to use to achieve their goals. And so within that, I'm going to highlight a few. They're still using Study Island, and they insist on that. They use that as enrichment for students as well as for remediation. Our math department has identified students that need extra help in certain areas, and during our Pride time, which is our intervention time as well, they actually target them. And we've got certain kids together, and they work on skills, and it's not just for that time, they actually give them some credit. Mm-hmm. They work with those kids so well. English department and science department and the history department are all doing the same thing. They're coming up with different strategies within their plans to reach all students. One thing that we have implemented this year is we have implemented co-teaching between our special ed department and our core areas. I am proud to say that this year we now have co-teaching in every core subject in our building, which benefits not just the students in special education, but all students, because anytime you can put two teachers in a room together to teach a subject, it's always better. And so I'm very proud that we are headed in that direction. We also use our paraprofessionals in all of those areas, in other areas as well, to assist teachers in classes. Every year I look back and I look at our survey that comes out, and I look at what we do with staff and in talking with staff, and I attribute a lot of this growth and a lot of things that we do is by our teachers spending the time, but also my being in there in the classroom. Last year when I stood here, I was very concerned. I had an iPad and my teachers didn't. One of my technology goals was to become more visionary. My iPad, thanks to the district, has allowed me to be in classrooms more and more and more. I am able to provide immediate feedback to teachers regarding their teaching and how they're doing, as well as they're required, they provide me back with feedback once I email them. And so that has been very, very beneficial for that, and I am thankful to you and to the district for that time and for that tool. Mr. Storms?
Time for goal 2.
Time for goal 2.
Why don't you advance that for me? Goal 2 is our goal to junior high school to improve citizenship. There with the Bulldog bulleted items, we have the things which we have been doing in the past. As we address this goal this year, we have continued to develop and build a larger school-wide positive behavior support Tier 2 team, which I have done that with that team's assistance by increasing teacher buy-in and participation. And that team's charge is to work toward innovations for improving both student behavior and academics. And so that team last year began, and they began doing a program called Check and Connect with students that helps teachers monitor them in pride time, the ones that are at low academic identification, and help them. And this year that team is, we've been doing PD, and we're working to implement another program which is called Check In, Check Out, which is a more specific targeted intervention for students that are struggling with both behavior and academics. And it utilizes a staff member that's not one of those students' teachers to be kind of an advisor to that person. They meet with in the morning, they meet with in the afternoon, and we're doing that right now, beginning that process with some students in second semester. We will put some students in that process full time, help improve their academic achievement, their citizenship, and their behavior. I have taken a larger role along with the PBS team at working with the student council this year, and we're trying to promote some service learning and some social learning activities, and we're having some really good ideas come out of that organization this year, and they're meeting regularly and getting a lot of fun activities going on for the kids. We're continuing to form some community partnerships that are helping us with our incentives and our rewards. We have some new community partners this year, EMOs, MFA, Casey's, et cetera, that are assisting us with, we had our EMO Spirit Night, who participated at the homecoming week, and they're assisting us with various things that we can use for incentives and rewards for the kids related to attendance and behavior and academic achievement. Goal 2, let's go to goal 3. Goal 3 is related to attendance, which, as Dr. Pritchett talked about that earlier, the Bulldog Bulleted things are what we have been doing in the past and what we're doing this year additionally to that. We used to go for the 95% target, and as you see, we met that, 12-13, but
Now MSET 5 requires that.
Change the target on you.
Move the target.
So we're working to do that. And the ways that we're looking at that right now is we've got a group of staff members that are what we refer to as our elected teachers, led by one of our counselors, that are looking into doing some research for innovative ways to increase student attendance, and also, working with some of our rewards, our no tardy parties we started this year, and PBS. They're all collaborating to help address this so that we can be on track to reach the 90-90. Currently, as of right now, we have 95% of our students above 90%.
That's very good.
A lot of school year left,
Yeah.
but we're excited about that. So
Yeah.
we've identified,
Yeah.
we have 59 students right now that are below 90%. And the counselors and I, along with the PBS student assistance team, will be looking at each of those students and seeing, if they are an individual that we can assist them and encourage them if their attendance is related not to, illness or medical condition, that we can help them to motivate them. We continue to share monthly attendance data with the kids in the cafeteria, and this year I have started a promotion of healthy habits, which we have had some talks in the cafeteria related to emergency drills and other things. We've progressed those now. We usually do those at the beginning of our Music Fridays, which we've had a good week in the cafeteria. We got some music in there as a reward. But we have been talking with the students, mostly I, Mrs. Fulton's now, about healthy habits, hand washing, getting enough sleep, eating right, take care of yourself, which helps you in turn, you ready to learn, ready to come to school, and hopefully not get ill. So the one I hadn't been able to convince them yet of, but I keep talking about is not to drink after each other.
Not to what?
Not to drink after each other. Seems like every day after school I see junior high school kids that drink after each other. Somebody has a store-bought drink they brought from home after
Passing it around.
Some of the useful feedback that I gathered and am using from the staff survey for myself is it has shown me that one of the areas I want to work on is being more reflective and transparent. I want to try to be available and accessible to the staff more in their classrooms. And earlier, one of the slides showed our discipline numbers, and we're still having a reduction. We had a reduction from last year. When I'm not in the office dealing with discipline, I can be out in the classroom, and that's one of the things that I want to be able to do and get more feedback and more input about instruction, and asking teachers how can I help you with your teaching, and continuing to solicit input from them and give feedback, and be more visible and involved in the classroom learning environment. It's not the supervision areas, which I'm always visible in, like the cafeteria and bus loop, etc. I have not progressed quite as quickly as Mrs. Fulton, but I'm progressing well with my technology, and I also really enjoy my iPad. I was quite proud of myself. Recently, I had a teacher that was preparing sub-lessons because he had to be gone, and he was struggling. He was sending his kids to the lab that day with the sub, and he was struggling in getting his rubric for his activities for the day for the kids posted onto my big campus, and I was actually able to tell him how to do that.
Small big.
We are also piloting right now within our ever-expanding use of Infinite Campus. The junior high school, we're piloting online referrals for office discipline, and so the teachers are actually able to do that now with Infinite Campus, like they take roll and grade data, et cetera. And that's coming to Mrs. Fulton and I, and that's going well, and they're doing well with that, and that saves time as far as entry and processing, and I can actually be out in the classroom, see that on my iPad, know what I have coming up, and it's helping me more effectively use my time and minimize my office time and get out of the office. So that's several of the things which I'm doing at Merge Age to address our school improvement goals. Mrs. Fulton still has goal 4 and 5. They have questions about goal 2, citizenship, and goal 3.
Well, good. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
I've also brought Mr. Storms along and teaching him how to do proportional attendance and how the state is assessing us. So we have also done this as well, and so we are on track to meeting our goal, our 2020 goal. And for that, I'm very proud. But that takes a team to get us to where we are, and that's not just us. That's our counselors, that's our teachers, and creating the environment where kids want to be at school. And so I am very, very tickled with that. Our focus this year is based on two things. Number one, for our teachers, is technology, and we'll go there in a few minutes. But for me, is parents. We need to strengthen that relationship and partnership, and we are working to increase parent engagement at Rolla Junior High. So I had a vision. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. In this one, I think it's very good. I have been researching transition plans for parents, and there are none. And so I have a parent committee put together, and that is going to be our focus this year. Our parents have agreed to create a transition plan in which they are going to host such as a parent panel night during 2 times. One, during February, we have our scheduling open house where we invite 7th graders into our building and their parents. And so they're going to set up like a roundtable discussion in the cafeteria, or actually in the gym, because everything else is going on in the cafeteria. And they want to survey the parents first. So we're going to create a survey using, not sure if I'm going to use Infinite Campus and put it out in the portal, or if I'm going to do something with SurveyMonkey, but we will distribute that through School Messenger. We're going to identify the things that we do well, things we need to improve upon, what their concerns are. And so this parent committee is going to also put together a brochure for our parents that they will pass out. They have a lot of great ideas of how to sell our school and help even students transition over. So they're going to be their focus. I'm not sure how this is going to go, but I'm sure it's going to go well, and I'm sure we're going to be able to bring that back to you and let you know how our parent welcoming committee is going to work, and they're actually going to host it. Granted, Mr. Storms and I will be there, but it's going to come from them to parents, because they're the ones that know what they want to know and what to tell another parent coming in. So they were very excited about that. We're getting ready to communicate throughout the month of December through email. We'll meet again in January. We'll try it out in February, and we'll see how it goes again in August. We're going to try something a little bit bigger and better as well. So that's one of the things that we're going to do with parents. They also want to plan seminars based upon parent need and current things going on with kids. Need that be local substance abuse issues, need that be internet safety. They want to provide those workshops for parents as well. And we're going to go with it. What they want to do, we're going to try. We're going to think outside the box and see what we can do. In our community and our staff, of course, loves veterans. And if you haven't been by to see our Veterans Hallway, and as much as it has expanded, I invite you all to come by. We had a fabulous Veterans Day assembly last week, and very proud of my staff that planned it. It wasn't me. It was my staff. It was Coach Croft and Coach Reinhardt, Mrs. Dalton and Mrs. Keeling, and they put together a fabulous assembly, invited the community, and invited our veterans in, and did a wonderful job. Part of this goal as well, and what was identified as a long-term need from my staff for me on my survey, was to meet with students. Granted, they don't see what goes on in my office, so we're bringing that out. I host lunch with the principal, and they said the kids told me once a month was too much, so we're doing it every 2 months. And so I bribe them with cupcakes or cookies, and they sign up through their Pride Time, and they come and meet with me, and Dr. Zales has attended one, and we're going to invite him back. And they talk to me about all sorts of things. It could be to the music we have on Friday, to the lunches, to classes, to my big campus. Any concern that they have, we write it down. then we post it out amongst the staff, and then we talk about it again, and then I report back, and we see how it goes. And so that worked very well last year. It's already worked well this year, and we'll continue that pattern as we go through the years and see what happens. Some of the things that we are doing at Rolla Junior High, last spring, we took a trip to a Springfield Cardinals game as a reward for students who met their AR goal. It went over so well that on December 5th, we're taking 40 or 50 students to a Blues game, a hockey game. And I've never been, so we're excited to go.
Need a chaperone?
Huh?
Just wondering if you might need a chaperone.
We might. I've never been. I'm going, and so I'm sending the others off to do ball games that night. I'm going to the Blues games, so we're all excited about that. The kids love that. They've also had more ideas about more celebrations, more rewards, more things that they can do and that they want, and so we're going to put some of those in place as well. We also collaborate very well with all of our schools around us. I'm excited to work with all of them. During our collaboration times, our teachers share strategies, as Mr. Smith was talking about in our last PD day. Hearing all of the teachers 6 through 12 sit in a room and talk about the strategies and things that they do was absolutely wonderful. We walked away with a lot of great ideas and a lot of great knowledge of how to help kids and how they're coming to us and how we can prepare them to go on to the high school. And so goal 5 is technology. This is an area that since I've been here last year that we have grown in leaps and bounds. And I am so proud of our staff, but I'm equally proud of Brenda. Brenda has she's invaluable to us. She is in our building. I don't know that there's a week or a couple times a week or 3 times a week that I don't see her and we're like, hey, how are you? So we talk as she's on the way to a classroom. She has helped me become more visionary in my technology goal for my professional development plan. And some of those things that I've done is I've become to be very transparent with struggling with that. Last week, whenever we had actually earlier this week on our PD day, I modeled the iPad use because we now have a set of iPads, and we did some infused learning activities with the staff. It was really good. I struggled with it, but it's the same some of the struggles they're having as well. And so we were able to talk about how do we fix it, what do we do. And if I don't know, I tell them I don't know, but we figure it out together. And that's what has been wonderful. We have teachers screencasting as well. The English department in 9th grade English 1 has been screencasting To Kill a Mockingbird. They're actually putting the text on the screen, reading it, so they're providing reading to their students as well. It has been it's been very good for that. We have 2 laptop carts and an iPad cart in the building, a partial iPad cart. We have 3 computer labs. We have 2 classrooms that have 14 computers each in there in math. We have other classrooms with 1 or 2 extra computers. We have 5 teachers now in iTeach Academy, as well as 7 teachers in the technology focus group this year. So the use of our technology and our technology learning has increased greatly. But one of the things that has changed in listening to my staff is hearing them say, if you want us to be technology literate, you need to give us the time. So we have changed the way we spend our professional development money, and we're using it for substitutes with Brenda. We are giving teams of teachers an entire day with Brenda. So they are taking what they have, they're actually applying it, learning it, and actually going back into the classroom then and using it with the students. Mrs. Spurgeon comes in, she helps them, she's right there with them. It has been the best use of our money. It has been the best use of our time. They really enjoy being able to create something, use it, go back and practice it in their room, and apply it. And for that, we are grateful for Brenda. And I don't get to use Linda, but I'm grateful because I love the conversations I have with her because she's a wealth of knowledge as well. So we are grateful in that. Our school improvement plan is all-inclusive. We talk about PD, we talk about budget, we talk about needs, so everything is in there at one time. And I think that's great because we're creating one document as all the other schools, and we're making it very useful. But I want to take a moment to show you what some of our teachers are doing and understand we've only been in iTeach Academy and focus group since August. Some of our geometry class, when I'm in a classroom and in my iPad, I take pictures and I give teachers back pictures. And so this is our geometry class doing a clicker lesson. And the clickers we've had for quite a while, and along with a smart board. They love this type of review lesson and preparing for a test. This was an iPad lesson. This is what you can't see as Mrs. White is teaching the kids and putting out what are the expectations of how to use the iPad in the classroom. This is a co-teach situation with Mrs. Heimbaugh and Mrs. Spurgeon, and the students are actually creating a poplet, doing a character analysis from one of the stories that they were reading. This is an infused learning activity with the students in a math classroom. I even got my iPad out and was doing some infused learning exercises with them, so that was good. This is where they're preparing, and so you see we have technology laying right beside them, but they are actually practicing the skill before they submit their answer using infused learning. Last year I was very envious. I got to see these pictures in other schools, and so there's all of our kids using their iPads to actually access the QR code to go to infused learning, and so I was excited that I get to show that this year. This is one of the students actually creating a poplet. At this point in time, kids were needing help, and I said, okay, show me. And what he's doing there is teaching me how to create a poplet so I could help somebody else in the classroom. And so for that, that's our presentation. Wow. We are growing by leaps and bounds at Rolla Junior High. We invite you in at any time, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. I thoroughly enjoy my job every day and love what I do. I love our kids, and we have the best community. Again, thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Any questions for us?
Thank you.
Wow.
Wow, right. I think Brenda needs to do some.
Yeah, how many Brendas are there actually?
I say it sounds like Brenda's everywhere.
She'll be here next
She needs to
month.
run for office.
She'll be here
She's got
next
a lot of
month.
votes right now.
Yeah, but I mean, wouldn't it be great to have her do some work with us on ours? Wish she had time to.
Thank you all
Huh?
for the updates on your school improvement plans.
I do.